hang on, let me need to let's help in production here. We'll get in the way. There we go. Welcome back, everyone, to day 2 of Encore. You thought you had enough yesterday with all the great chat mania, but alas, we have all relapsed. And here to aid me in my recovery, that's 3 Eminem album titles, we've got the one and only Noah Lake. How are you doing, Noah?
Yeah, Marshall Mathers LP2.
Music to be
I'm looking forward
by...
to it. Hey, there's a lot of very good players left, Thomas. I'm looking forward. I mean, they're all great tracks as well that we have in Encore. And it's going to be a day of furious competition.
I believe so too. Day 1 gave us a lot to be excited for, and was still riding the high of BIPC 3, whichever one it was. Yatta, who are you most looking forward to seeing in these upcoming matches?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I'm looking forward to seeing Hendo, to be honest, because he had a very good performance last week in BIPC 3, and he's looked quite good so far this weekend as well. And he's in with quite a difficult match coming up, which will be coming up on our stream today. So he's coming up against kopro, Broly, and Yan. And honestly, this match should have fireworks. It could go any way.
Yeah, I think to say Hendo's got a bad match today to have to play in, I think looking at his history, he's just had bad matches the whole time. He's been really up against it, has had to play against Boz a couple times already. But yes, we will be following his progression here. We will be joining the losers bracket. If anyone is interested in watching some of the upper bracket games, I've heard rumors that our favorite OC will be streaming over on his Twitch channel some of the upper bracket games, and maybe Louis as well if we can get him out of bed. But I do believe we're in warm-up already, so unfortunately that's going to be enough for me. I'll be handing you over to our 2 wonderful casters. Oh wait, no, they're not available. Okay, so just these 2, Nua and Yatta, take it away.
Yeah, looking forward to this one, Yada. Should be excellent. We will be kicking things off pretty much immediately on Candy Crush by Mime. I believe we have map videos, so I think we just send it straight on into that.
Yep, we're going to go into Candy Crush. I think people will have seen it over the last few days, but yep, taking us through now into the video for Candy Crush.
Come and set me free. Set me free.
All right, and in we go to round 1 on Candy Crush. We have quite a big matchup of sort of top seeds coming through seeding, as we mentioned before. We've got Broly, kopro, and Yan, who I believe were 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in seeding. Then we've got Hendo, which was a little bit lower down, but Hendo seems to be the more consistent of the players based on what I've seen so far.
Yeah, super interesting. As you mentioned, it was pretty close between kopro, Broly, and Yan. That's the order they finished in: 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, kopro, Broly, Yan. And Hendo down in 8th place after seeding. But as you mentioned, a little bit more consistent so far across the weekend. And I think his role is definitely keep everyone else honest in this match. The other 3 are all very quick, but maybe prone to crashing occasionally as well. And with that in mind, then, Hendo has a chance to get through if he can just keep it clean, as he's doing so far in this round. Up in 1st place, Yan and kopro just behind at the moment, and Hendo will finish in 1st. Yan did have to go for the safe in, but still manages to finish ahead of Broly, who will take home 3 points for round 1.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a little bit of a microcosm of what I expect to see from the whole game, to be totally honest, because I think there was a mistake from absolutely everybody apart from Hendo. He was a little bit behind over the first sort of section of the track, but because of those small mistakes out front, he still ended up winning the round.
Yeah, feeling comfortable. And there it is again. kopro into a wall early on in the round. Will head straight on into that one and is dropping a long way back from everyone else. Still close up the top between the other 3. Yan out to a good start this time around, looking to pull away through that series of turns by a 10th or 2 as we get into these later checkpoints in the track. Broly staying in touching distance, and once again Hendo just keeping them honest, right? I mean, they're both very quick at the moment, but Hendo is there to capitalize if there is a crash at any point from either of these players, and he'll be happy with the points he gets from the first 2 rounds if that ends up being the case.
Yeah, and Candy Crush as well. There's a few elements of the track that are quite difficult. We've seen quite a few mistakes over the previous few days. One of them being the uphill dirt that we saw a little bit earlier in the map. The ending normally is quite okay. I mean, it's pretty processional over the finish there. First for Broly, second for Jan. Hendo coming up into third place with a similar time that he got last round. I'm not sure if this is his pace that he'll be driving on the map, and it's just up to whether the others make mistakes in front of him or if he's got a little bit more in the tank to push. But as we did see, there were some mistakes at the start of the last round. I think this time it was from kopro, and this time it's from Hendo, actually, which is really unfortunate for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not slow on this track by any means. I mean, we saw the last round ended with a 56.4 winning time. World record on the track is a 56 flat by Epos. But all of these players have a PB that is sub 56.2. I mean, Hendo is less than a tenth off the PBs of the other two players, but there is still that slight pace disadvantage that we're kind of talking about there. He does need to be kind of staying honest and managing to keep himself crashless as much as possible if he wants to go through in this round. I mean, it is still going to be difficult. I think once we get to finals mode, we are playing cup mode, of course. Hendo does need to win a round, even if he gets to the 100 points quicker than anyone else, and that could be a difficult task in this lobby for him.
Yeah, and that's one of the big differences between reverse cup mode and cup mode. A lot of the BITM events, but actually out front here, that's real dead even between Broly and Jan, and Broly manages to pass it, but what's happened to kopro? He's made a mistake, and he's gifted third place to Hendo after that big mistake at the start.
Yeah, I mean, look, not huge differences in terms of the points between third and fourth place, but it is a 1-point swing. You don't want to be giving up too many of those too often because they will add up over time as well. Close rounds out at the front as well. And as you were talking about there, Yada, yeah, the difference between cup mode and reverse cup mode very much is that reverse cup mode, I think, rewards consistency a little bit more. You'd expect cup mode almost to be better for players like kopro, Jan, and Broly, where being fast, getting round wins, even if you are a little bit inconsistent, is actually rewarded a little bit more.
Yes, and the 10 points for first place as well. You only really need 10 round wins to get into the finalist mode, and the points reparation is a little bit different to what you'd see in reverse cup mode, where, again, being fast, even if you're not in finalist mode, still does reward you with those additional points to second place. So it really is a battle of speed rather than a battle of consistency. Obviously, consistency is important, as kind of Hendo will be showing us there, with that not making a mistake and then getting the round win. But
there is still a limit to how inconsistent I think you're allowed to be even in cup mode, and I would argue that I think Jan in particular having some struggles with that at the moment. kopro as well, as Hendo sits 1 point behind Broly as we say goodbye to our first map. That was messy, Yada, I think is the only way to describe it.
It's everything I hoped for and more, to be honest. I don't think I was going into this match expecting to see clean rounds every round, but I think also that's kind of good viewing as well, isn't it? When you see mistakes, and Jan, just to prove my point in the warm-up, crashed into the first corner and then into a pillar. So keeping it keeping it consistent, but not in the way he would hope.
Yeah, so we're heading to our second track. We're heading to Capital by Doc. I mean, can you tell us anything about how this track was going for people yesterday?
I think I can tell you about Capital. I think this is one of the best maps for the ending. I'll put it that way. We have seen many rounds, both in previous competitions and in this competition, that have been decided by that jump to the finish. Who can take it more inside? Who takes it a bit too inside and doesn't get the speed for the jump? And yeah, I think with this lineup, I think we'll be seeing a lot of ending shenanigans, shall we say.
Yeah, well, we head on then to our second map. We're heading to Capital. Well, we head on back in. Okay, Thomas.
I'm coming in with a live report from the other matches going on right now. Bozbez won all 4 opening matches on Candy Crush and is on 40 points. Aqua is on 20, Killian 17, and Poopy Bua, probably know his name, is on 50.
Well, excellent news. We will continue to get updates from Thomas over the course of the day on what's going on the other matches that we are not able to stream. Of course, OC is streaming some of those other matches as well if you do want to catch them. But we have a very close opening round here on Capital. kopro dropping a little way back from the pack, but it's only a 10th or 2 at the moment as Hendo, Broly, and Yan are all wheel to wheel at the front of this one. And actually, it's a late push as well. kopro starting to catch back up to them as well. As you mentioned, the ending here, very important. This outside dirt all the way around can cause issues. Broly, the first victim. Hendo and Yan to the line together. Yan goes inside, but kopro wins the round and Hendo full crashed. And what a resurgence from kopro over the course of that round. He stayed in touching distance and he nailed that finish.
And I think that is exactly what I was talking about with the ending, with there being 3 mistakes, which allowed kopro to go from making a mistake earlier in the map in last to crossing the line in first. So
yeah,
the rest of the map, obviously important, not as important as that end.
Yeah, absolute madness to kick things off there. And, well, we'll be hoping for a little bit more of that over this. Again, we know that the pace is there for all 4 of these players. We kind of said, you know, Hendo, the slowest of the 4, but he was still 8th in seeding. He's still within a 10th or 2 of PBs for all of these players on all of these tracks. He is quick as well. And if they can all keep the car out of the wall, Broly full crash behind just there. A little bit rough for him. But meanwhile, everyone else is still in the race as we round this final corner again.
Yes, and kopro had to release very slightly there. And Yan touches the inside as we come up to this ending. Now it's really Hendo's to lose. kopro's got a little bit more speed. Who's going to attack the outside more? It looks like it's kopro. Does he have more speed to take Hendo on the line? Yes, he just about does. I thought he'd clipped and had lost speed, but he still manages to cross the line. That was an incredible push from kopro there. Hendo did
this
just
is one of those things
too much, I think.
Exactly. I was going to point that out as well, that once you get confidence, I mean, kopro nailed the end last time around, felt confident in going for a very risky end the second time around as well, whereas Hendo had failed and he kind of went a little bit safer, stayed very center, got a lot of height off the jump, and that gave the space to kopro to manage to snipe him out a second time around. I mean, those are the kind of things that carry through, right? The momentum just keeps on going. I expect if it's close again, you're going to see kopro go very risky again. He's feeling himself on this finish line.
He is, and Yan has looked quick in this map so far, but he's just made a few too many mistakes near the end. Broly's looked a little bit more, you know, he's looked a little bit more inconsistent, I think it's fair to say, on this map. And he's made another mistake earlier on in this one as well. So we're coming up to the ending here with Yan in third, Hendo in second, and kopro, as you mentioned, out in front. And he's looking quick. Will he attack the outside? He will. He's attacked it so hard. Yan's touched again. He might not make the risky, but kopro does safe. And they both have to go safe, both Yan and Broly. But Yan still manages to hold that on. And this safe finish as well. Safe is definitely in quotation marks, I think.
Yeah. Definitely possible to flip that car over if you get a bad landing, if you approach wrong on that safe, for sure. Rough map so far for Broly, as he is struggling a little bit. Yan, meanwhile, I have to point out, is in chat there saying he's choked 7 out of 7 first places so far. I think he's, I'm going to argue, giving himself maybe a little bit too much credit there. I mean, he's definitely been up at the front an awful lot of the time. He's definitely had the opportunity to win rounds. I'm not sure if he's choked 7 rounds so far, but this time around, we'll call it. I mean, this will be a choke if he doesn't manage to close this one out.
I think so. There's been 2 mistakes out back, and funnily enough for this map, it's been kopro and Hendo who have really looked like the best 2 so far. And there's another mistake from kopro to allow Hendo into 3rd place. But up in front, Yan looks to be a little bit more consistent this round, I say hesitantly, as we're going into the to the end of this map. Broly and Yan, they've both made a lot of mistakes going into the ending section. Will they safe it? Does Yan know he's got a little bit of time to play for? He's going relatively safe. Will he make the ending jump? He does, and now he has not choked 8 out of 8 rounds.
Yeah, I think you have to be happy with that. I won't say tentative from Yan and Broly around that final corner, but maybe not as aggressive as we've seen them. I think both of them were just happy to be sitting up in maximum points for a round and happy to lock it in without interfering with each other too much on that one. And with that, we'll say goodbye to Capital. 2 maps down, and the players are still all very, very close to each other. Yeah, the scores are close up at the top. kopro has locked in 50 so far. Points limit of 120 at this point of competition, but everyone is over 40 points, so only 7 separating the entire field right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure about you, Nua, but it felt like there was a gap building. I hadn't checked the scores up until the end of this round, as you mentioned, but it did feel like both Broly and Yan were making a lot of mistakes, and they felt like they were going a little bit adrift at the end of that map. But I guess that last round with Yan, who was in last place, winning, and Broly, who was in third, coming in second, that's really evened out the points and made it a bit more of a competitive game.
Yeah, and we get ready then to head on to Ledior, and I will point out that, yeah, I made a mistake. None of these maps are by Doc. He's just managed to upload them all for Encore in particular. I don't remember who Ledior is by, Yada.
It's by Kerberos.
Kerberos. It's
Yes.
a Kerberos map. Excellent. Looking forward as we get ready to head on into Ledior then. Things I should know. Who made the maps for these events? But look, I mean, the important thing is they're all excellent. They all provide some excellent competition. And now we're getting to a pretty divisive part of the match. We're going to need to see big performances from everyone on Ledior. Well, our match in the lower bracket continues, and this is going to be a very important map as players start to get themselves past that halfway point on the points. But meanwhile, we have an update. What's going on in the other lower bracket match? Thomas, what can you tell us?
Thanks, Noah. Boz on 68, Acros 48. They traded 2 wins apiece in that second map. Killian is on 40 points, and then bringing up the rear is Poep Buer on 28. Still not sure how to say that name.
Thank you, Thomas. We'll check back in with you for updates on whether or not you have managed to figure out how to pronounce that name over the course of the day. But for now, we are live. We are racing on Ledior, and there are no mistakes early on. We did see this in the first round on Captal as well. Everyone's staying much more competitive for the first round. And then, Yada, as they started to get a little bit more aggressive, as they maybe started to find their footing and start to drive a little bit riskier, then things started to go wrong in later rounds.
Exactly, and again, this is a map which has a bit of a riskier end. A mistake there from kopro will allow Broly to pass him, but up front, you've got Hendo just behind, taking a riskier line than Yan, but Yan manages just about hold on to that finish. But as you can see, this finish it's something else. There's been a lot of mistakes here, especially actually in BOPC 3 last week. There was a ton of mistakes. I've seen less in Encore, but still, you can risk that end with a drift as much as you want. You can clip the inside, you can clip the outside, and then you've got to do a precision triangle finish, which has caught more than a few people out, I think it's fair to say.
Absolutely, I mean, anytime there's a triangle finish or checkpoint or otherwise, I know there are always going to be some players for who that is their least favorite part of the map. Forced precision when you're driving under pressure at high speeds, when you're in a round fighting for your tournament life, hey, it gets stressful, and that makes a lot of sense to me. It is, once again, a pretty close start off the line. Broly was the first player to start to drop away in the last round, and Broly will catch a little bit of airtime, and once again, he's the player to start dropping a little bit away. This time around, not as big a gap. He's only down by a tenth or so, but he's continuing to lose speed. I think he might even have dropped a gear there, as he is a long way down now from the rest of the pack. Half a second separating him from the other three. Up at the front, Yan leads the way from Hendo, from kopros. We'll see if they can continue to hold these positions. kopro got very close to an inside edge there. He is pushing towards the end. He has a lot of speed, but it won't be enough to catch at the line as Yan locks in first place and Hendo less than a tenth behind.
Yep, only just over a tenth between all three of them there. That was good pushing from Hendo. He was in third place, and he had a very good middle section of the map, the sort of grass uphill into the outside dirt. And he managed to overtake kopro there and just hold it on until the end. But Yan, so far, I think, does look like he does look the fastest in the lobby. I mean, there were quite a lot of mistakes, as he mentioned earlier on, but in terms of pure pace, it does look like he has, only by a small amount, but a tiny bit of a pace advantage over these maps.
Yeah, and I think what we were talking about, you know, in this cup mode versus reverse cup mode, it just getting round wins is a massive advantage. I mean, the full 10 points is absolutely huge. I think that is what's carrying Yan, is that slight pace advantage in a round where he manages to avoid crashing and everyone else does as well. He's the player walking away with the most points each of those times. And once again, he's out in front. Broly and Hendo just behind. kopro, unfortunately, has dropped a long way away from these other three drivers. And Yan looking pretty comfortable right now out in front. Had choked away a few rounds earlier in the match, and I think has started to manage to lock that batted down. Broly's going to crash at the end. He's not going to make the finish. And wait a second, neither did kopro. I saw him flying past, but he missed. And that means Broly will still take third. And kopro also respawning settles for fourth as Yan once again takes 10 points home.
Yeah, and Yan has gone from being 10, 15 points down in fourth place to now having built up a 9-point lead in just a few rounds, really. If he can keep this up, he's well on his way for qualifying to the next round of the lower bracket. And that's a mistake from Hendo, hitting the triangle on the first checkpoint.
I mean, we haven't really talked about Hendo. We didn't really talk about Hendo a huge amount on the last map or whatever. You know, map 1, we were talking about how the consistency would be very good for him, and he's kind of been doing that. He's been banging in decent rounds, a lot of second places and so on, and he is sitting second overall on the leaderboard. 64 points available to him at the moment as Yan sits in first on 73. But rounds like this are not going to help. Broly will help a little bit. Him crashing out and going behind Hendo will definitely be to Hendo's advantage. But up at the front, kopro taking Yan on pace at the moment and coming out on top. He's a 10th ahead as we round these final few corners. Can he continue to hold him off? Yan going a little bit more inside there, carrying more speed. kopro coming back at him wider on the second of those two turns. kopro low with speed around this final corner, trying to get as inside as he can all the way to the line. kopro will be the player who holds on and fends Yan off to take a much needed first place.
And actually, there was a good battle out back as well between Hendo and Broly. Hendo passed Broly after he made a mistake relatively near the start of the map, but then Broly seemed to have the pace on Hendo and he was chasing him down up until the line, and it was about 0.1 between them going over the line. So it was a really good race up back on both sides. It was sort of two races in one there.
Absolutely.
As we
and
now move
well,
on to Menace.
Yeah, bye.
Oh, you're testing me here.
This is tough. Hey, Oh, I think we're back. Hello, everyone can hear us. We weren't saying much of value. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. And in fact, we do get ready then to head straight on in to the map preview for Menace.
By whiskey. All right. We're now into the first round here on Menace, and I do believe we have an update into the other lower bracket match.
Yep, thanks, Yatta. Boz on 94, Acro 71. They've been sort of joined at the hip, but not necessarily joined at the front, trading some good rounds and bad rounds with each other. Killian on 64, and, hang on a minute, someone wrote it in the chat, Buer on 47.
Yeah, we did just see in our match kopro DNFing and has let us know that he forgot to unbind the reset key. Very important key to remember to not have bound when you're playing live rounds versus time attack. And, well, I guess that just goes to show, Yada, what we already suspected. These are some real time attack Andys.
Very much so. I mean, one of the key rules of competition is to always unbind the dings. So not unbinding the dings has really cost him in this round, and that'll be 0 points. I mean, he made a mistake and he was likely coming in fourth anyway, but the fact that you're getting actually 0 points in a match as close as this, that's quite important.
Yeah,
and
I want to be clear, the points... Yeah.
Realistically, anyone could crash at any point. You could be in fourth after that first checkpoint and still end up in first, as kopro himself actually saw in one of the earlier rounds when everybody missed the finish.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that kopro would currently be tied with Hendo for second place instead of 3 points behind if he had come fourth in that round and picked up the 3 points. So yeah, could well turn out to be relevant later on in the match. As meanwhile, we'll keep an eye on Broly at the moment, who is currently last place in this match. And I think has the pace. We know he has the pace, but has definitely been the crashiest player so far in this match. And hopefully frustration isn't starting to creep in for Broly as well. I think we've seen him chatting a little bit about how he doesn't seem very happy with what's been going on so far, but this is a better round for him so far, and being able to recover from that frustration is definitely important in competition.
Yeah, and to be honest, it looks like if anyone's having a bit of a mental issue or mental block here, it does look to be kopro, because after DNFing that last round, he seems to have hit most of the walls on the map, at least a larger percentage than he would have liked, so I'll put it that way. And as we come into the finish here, we've got Broly taking a win, actually, which is so important for his chances, and really important for Hendo as well, as getting that second place. If he keeps on doing that, it looks like Jan's going to be taking the first place if he keeps it up. But, you know, being in that finalist early, especially for Hendo, who, as we've said, might not necessarily have the pace of the other players, it's very important to have multiple chances at that, in case others do make those mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, putting himself on 120 points into finalist mode as soon as possible, and then just waiting for the round where everyone else crashes, might be Hendo's best shot, but you need to continue to rack up the points in the meantime. Jan still out in front, but he's having a little bit of a harder time here on Menace than he was on previous tracks. He is not getting it all his own way anymore, and kopro has made it through the first few corners without a crash until he crashed. And then he had not made it any further without crashing. So it's Broly out in the lead instead. And Jan, meanwhile, has found his way past Hendo, who's just a little bit slower through this middle section of the track. He is wider on the dirt, but Broly is taking the most out of all of these corners, looking for speed anywhere he can get it at the moment.
Yeah, and this ending of Menace, I think this is true with a lot of tracks, actually. We're saying it out loud, but the endings of a lot of these tracks are really difficult, and there have been a lot of mistakes. And as you can see there, Jan went a little bit too inside, clipped the dirt, and then didn't have as much speed as Hendo going into the ending. So, again, this is the same result as the last round, with Broly winning and actually overtaking kopro now. And he's only 4 points off Hendo. And Hendo was second in those last two rounds. It really shows you just how close this match actually is.
Yeah, I mean, a string of first places does immediately jump you up that leaderboard. And Jan, honestly, I mean, he was over 25 points ahead of Broly not too long ago. He's now back within 15. The gap closing pretty rapidly, although this is a slower start for Broly this time around. Jan and kopro out in front. I mean, kopro has been having a torrid time of it so far on Menace. He needs to find something to stabilize here. It'd be a great round to do it in, final round on the map, and walk away feeling happy as we head into our second rotation.
Yes, but I feel like you should stop talking about kopro after what that did last round. Let's, well, Jan's the one actually who makes the mistake. And Broly, how did he not touch the outside dirt there? He went so wide. Will he keep the gear? And kopro has crashed. And is now in fourth place with no speed.
Yeah. To quote chat and then Twitch chat as well, absolute donut move there by kopro. But Broly getting it all his own way. Hendo and Jan, meanwhile, very close together. Jan clipped on the finish, but still made it across. Hendo has to settle for third, and kopro was in danger of timing out last time around. Was in danger of timing out this time around as well, but he still made it across the line. Still picked up those 3 points, but that was a rough time for kopro on the map.
Yes, and I think that was 40 points from Broly, wasn't it, on that map? He's stating in chat that that's more points on that map than the other two combined, and that's pretty close to true. Not quite true, but pretty close to true.
Well, we've done 3 maps before that, so it was true of any other 2 maps, correct?
Wait,
so yeah, no, he was right.
Honestly, I got
exactly.
this wrong.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm just saying, like, it's all well and good calling out someone's math for being incorrect on stream, but he was correct. That was more points than the previous 2 maps combined for Broly. Yep. I mean, massive performance, and it has catapulted him all the way up into second place. Now 11 points behind the lead of Jan, and we kind of have talked about Hendo's chances of making it out of this match, and that run by Broly actually suddenly makes things a lot harder for Hendo. There's no longer just one driver in front of him. There's 2.
And this really comes down to whether this is a mental issue, a warm-up issue, or a map issue. Because if the reason why Broly did so well is that's just his map, that's the map he's the best on, and we come back to Candy Crush, which is one that he's not as confident on, then we could see the same issue there. But speaking of, we will go into Candy Crush and have a little look at the map.
Come and set me free. Come and set me free.
Back to Candy Crush, just like my 60-year-old aunt. As we will get ready for our second rotation on the map. Jan had a decent time of it here last time around, but I do think everyone looked a little bit unstable on this map. We were getting the preview of a very crashy match. I think most of our players have tightened things up since then, so I'm very interested to see how Hendo does relative to the field this time around, because I think Candy Crush has really stabilized him in this match the first time around, and I'm not convinced he's going to have as good a time of it this second.
No, I think the only one that's really been not so stable recently, it looks to be kopro, who has made a few mistakes, but in this round, he does seem to be having a bit more joy. It's still really close between them, and this plastic section can decide a lot if anyone loses the gear or if someone takes a little bit more inside and more speed. It looks like they've all taken it about equally. Broly's risking very inside here. Will Hendo looks to have a bit of a better line. Will he snipe him on the line? No. Broly just holds it. That was a very good round, though, from all the players. There was no mistakes there. And Jan coming in last place. I said that Jan looked like he was ready to qualify, but honestly, that gap has shrunk a ton.
Yeah, down to 8 points now from Jan to Broly, and I mean, Hendo and kopro not that far behind either. Now, Jan only needs a couple of rounds still to get to finalist mode, and I think with how the match has been going, ignore what's just happened. Jan is still in a decent place to take one of the two spots to advance out of this match. This is, of course, a lower bracket. This is elimination. 2 players advance. 2 players will be done, knocked out, gone from the tournament, and all 4 of these players were in the top 8 from seeding. Hendo, the lowest of them, in 8th place out of seeding. Jan, meanwhile, is looking the best of them overall. He's definitely not looking the best this round, as Broly and Hendo are battling it out up front.
And the mistake in 3rd place from kopro, who is right with the top 2, but it looks like now he's still a bit too far ahead of Jan to catch him. But up in front here, we've got Hendo and Broly on top of each other. Hendo makes a little bit of a mistake, but I think he'll still have enough speed to make the finish, which he does. But Broly will still steal that 1st place, and that 10 points there puts him within, I believe, 1 of Jan.
Yeah, I mean, the gap was, again, 6 rounds ago, 25 points. And then Broly has just been winning rounds over and over and over. He is locked in this match right now. It has come at the expense of kopro. I think there's some kind of, Space Jam style talent stealing going on in the match at the moment. We definitely should check that. Is it against the rules? Are there any rules against Space Jam style talent stealing?
I don't think so. No, I think that's...
Well, in that case, more power to Broly for figuring it out and managing to do this to kopro. A little bit unethical, maybe, but hey, I mean, if it's not against the rules, you take every advantage you can get.
Well, who's the Michael Jordan of Trackmania anyway?
Me.
All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say Carl Jr. and then that just felt too cliche, and then I panicked and said me, and we all know that's not true. So I'm the Michael Jordan of baseball of Trackmania.
Oh, right.
Hey, Broly's winning around. Jan is having a great time, but Hendo crashed on out early as we get to the finish line. Jan is looking close, but he will not catch. Great round between Broly and Jan. What is that? 7/10 separating? Sorry, 7,000 separating them at the finish line. That's the racing we wanted to see out of this match. And that will mean Broly overtakes Jan by holding him off up until the line that time around. He's 2 points off of finalist mode. Jan 5 points off. Broly's finalist guaranteed as long as we finish the round. Jan needs to do a little bit of work.
And that was 2.2s as well. That's very fast times on this map. And Hendo was not very happy that people are driving that time based on the chat. So I'm not sure if that's something he can't keep up with, or if that's just, that impressive. I'm not sure we're going to see that again. I'll put it that way coming into this this next round. This 4th and final round, actually, of Candy Crush.
Yeah, and this is getting very, very close. It's getting tight, but we do have to very quickly throw to our field reporter, who is screaming at me in messages.
Yeah, it's been 4 rounds.
Okay.
You could have found some time. Reports from the field from afar. Boz has qualified through. He won his finalist round, his second finalist round. We've got Killian on 114 and Akros into finalist mode. So Akros just needs to find a win in the next 2 rounds and he'll be all good. But if Killian brings them both home, he will be going through and Akros will be taking the long route home.
All right, well, thank you, Thomas. Meanwhile, we hit double finalist in our match, but we say goodbye to the map as we do so as well. Candy Crush gone. We will not see it again in this match. We will head back to Capital with Broly and Yan sitting on finalist. Hendo on 109 points, and kopro still in a position to clean it up yet. I mean, he's not had a good time across the last 2 maps, but 2 wins and then a third, which is very doable, I feel like. And kopro looked the best on Capital last time as well. And all of a sudden, kopro is the first player out of this match.
Yeah, I mean, 101 points, actually, in terms of what you could be on at this position in 4th place, isn't that bad. The way the points preparations work, 10 points for a first place, 2 first places, and that's it. You're into finalist as well. The person who's on a little bit of an awkward number of points is actually Hendo, because 109, if he had 1 more point, that would be that'd be finalist, but unfortunately not. Luckily for him, only 1 player can go through if they win the round, so then he will be in with a chance to get finalist on that next round, as long as he gets points.
Well, listen, Yada, we're gonna see. We're heading on into the map as we head to Capital again.
As we come in now onto the first round of Capital, which could be the final map that we actually see in this match, and it could be the final map of the whole tournament for 2 of these players. The first player to make a mistake, though, is Yan, so it looks like he's not going to be qualifying through to the next round of the lower bracket, unless there's some serious mistakes out front, which we haven't really seen so far in the last few maps. But it's dead even up top. kopro is actually making a good start, as you said, on the map that he's performed best at so far in this match. He's got a little bit of a lead. Will he take it inside enough on this turn? He will, and he's keeping a lot of speed coming out of this. A 0.2 lead, not completely insurmountable, but with the way that kopro has been driving this track, it's going to be very difficult for either of the 2 behind him to catch up. Broly, obviously,
Hendo's looking to take 2nd place. I mean, Broly in finals, but he's clipped, he's gone, and Hendo sits in 2nd. You said he's on an awkward points total, but 2 2nd places behind kopro. He'd be fine with that. And kopro, I think he's done it. He's going to win the first round. I'm going to start calling it now. I think kopro to win back-to-back rounds and be one of the 2 players to make it out.
I'll tell you what, a quadruple finalist is on the cards here. I shouldn't say, I know I shouldn't say that, but it's on the cards.
It's very much on the cards, yeah. I think you can say it, because we just need kopro to drive like we know he can. I mean, as he has driven pretty much every single round on this map so far. I mean, it's a lot of pressure on kopro right now. I mean, he has left it all to do for himself, but once again, he's off to a decent start. Yan and Broly sit just behind. Hendo just needs to stay safe. I mean, it's not going to immediately end for him here if he does not win the round. There's still going to be a couple of chances for him to get on through. He's looking for a 2nd or a 1st, and he's just looking to keep it clean.
Yan with a very inside line. kopro should have a little bit more speed and a bit of a tighter line, but will Yan be able to carry his speed going into the drift section? He will. He's just ahead of kopro here, but it's really even between the 2 of them. Yan is trying to take speed out of the section into the grass. It looks to be they're even. Who will take the outside dirt? More risky. kopro really needs to risk this here, and he's gone so high, but Yan has kept it there. He should just about keep 1st place, and Yan will qualify to the next round of the lower bracket, and neither kopro or Hendo have made it into finalist mode. Hendo 1 point away.
Robbed of quadruple finalist on this occasion. Hey, I'm still backing kopro though. You have to say, I mean, that was an incredible round from Yan to deny kopro, but it took an incredible round from Yan to deny kopro, and that's the kind of round that I don't think we've seen Broly or Hendo really threaten to put together on this map so far. I mean, anything can happen, and Broly all of a sudden has had a decent start until he touches the wall, and Hendo through into 1st, and kopro is now Hendo's biggest cheerleader. I mean, he can be his own biggest cheerleader if he wants to. kopro is still close enough that he could get something done. He's very low on that corner, look to lose a little bit of speed, but they all shed speed at that drift following it, and Hendo out in the lead. kopro just needs to finish with Hendo in 1st, and he'll be fine. He will get the points necessary for finalists, and will be into triple finalist from there. It's getting scary for Broly, who hit finals before either of these players. I don't think he's the odds-on favorite to make it out of this match right now.
No, and there was a very wonky line in the middle there from Hendo. I have no idea how he managed to keep it on the track there and not into the wall, but he just needs to have a little bit of a safe finish here. He's got enough time to make it, and he does. And in fact, kopro snoked Broly on the line, and I have no idea how, to be totally honest. But it didn't make a difference, but it was fun to see. And now, as you mentioned, we're into a triple finalist.
And kopro gets one more round to do it on Captal. I mean, it'll happen on Captal for anyone, but this has been arguably the only track of the 4 in our map pack that kopro has been the best player on in this match. And he gets to decide his fate here, and he's out into the lead, and Broly DNFs after a crash, and Hendo is a couple of tenths behind kopro, who carries so much more speed through this middle section that he just needs to keep it safe. He's done the work. He just needs to keep the car on track from here.
But of all the tracks to try and keep your car on the track, it's the ending of Captal. And unfortunately for Hendo, he doesn't really look to be within range to put pressure on kopro for that ending. If he was within 0.1, then realistically kopro would need to risk the ending because Hendo could gain that on that. But to be totally honest, it doesn't necessarily look like he's going to be there. He needs a mistake out front from kopro going into this outside dirt on the ending. He's risking it. Hendo's touch. Will kopro make this finish? He will. And that's it. That's it for Hendo. That is it for Broly. And kopro has managed to somehow squeak through on Captal.
This match, coming into it, Yado, we said, hey, a lot of very fast players, potentially some inconsistency coming from them, though, in terms of how they've been playing, what they actually deliver in rounds. Hendo is maybe the slowest, but he's there. He's going to keep them honest. He's going to make sure that if they make too many mistakes, they don't make it through. And I think that's exactly the match that we got. It was quick. It was crashy. Hendo stayed consistent. He made it to finalist at the end as well. But ultimately, kopro was able to pull it together on one map, and that map happened to be second in rotation, which, as we all know, is a very important position.
Yep, indeed it is. And as you say, and also, you get to see the importance of map order there. I think that is that can be one of the key factors that is kind of outside of your control in a match like that. If there's one map where you just are that much better than the others inside the actual round, then you've got a kopro where you can just win every round and qualify from out of absolutely nowhere. I'll put it this way, if it had been the map where Broly had been winning everything that we were playing as the last match, I wouldn't have necessarily put my money on kopro anymore.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that one. I believe that we are potentially about to get an update from the upper bracket and how things have gone over there.
Is that?
Well, OC, you joined the call, and therefore I think I think you're going to have to give an update.
I was told to come here. Okay, look, my hands are up in the air. I'm innocent. I was told to come here, but yeah. So my match, I was watching the TJ Razzie Binks Max Track match. Binks kind of ran away with it a little bit. Played really well. He went into finalists and then he took control of the match. Funnily enough, Razzie was second for a lot of the match, and then TJ didn't start too well. Really warmed up into it. They both entered finalists at the same time. Then Max Track came from absolutely nowhere, completely denying both of them, winning two or three rounds in a row. I don't fully remember. Winning 2 or 3 rounds in a row, denying both of them, and he came home in second place in the end. So Binks and Max Track through to the upper final. Razzie and TJ drop into the lower matches down there.
Thank you very much, OC. The stream would like to know, did Louis end up waking up, or have you just been counting on your own?
No, I had Key. I have obtained Key, and I obtained a Killian after he got knocked out of his match. So I do have friends.
Oh, that is spoilers, OC. That is
Yeah.
massive
Oh,
spoilers for the other match.
I'm leaving. No,
Thomas,
no.
would you like to maybe tell us what happened in that other lower bracket match?
Well, I would like to. My Steam Deck did die halfway through the final round, but I am aware of the fact that Akros, in fact, did make it through. Killian did not. I do want to say, OC's not here, so he can't defend himself. If a match was just about to start, hypothetically, and there was a giant Discord group call with a lot of people in it, including Killian, would you maybe not press the phone call button?
Well, listen, maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't, but Thomas, I can't answer that question. I'm not OC.
Exactly, because most of us have brains. But no, thank you, OC, for popping in. Like we mentioned, he will be doing some of the off-stream games, the green room stream, as we like to call it, where BITM's lamest and I mean, sorry, greatest talent go and bring home the off-stream games. No, but that was a pretty exciting game that you guys were watching. I think it sort of went to plan almost. With Hendo there, kind of keeping the other players honest, was a rather enjoyable watch. What do you think stood out the most in that game, and do you think the players that have come out of it are going to be able to continue through this tournament, or is that inconsistency, do you think, going to be punished further down the line?
I think Jan has decent chances. I think kopro is potentially in for a bit of a struggle. He did incredibly on Capital, looked wonderful on that track, and then struggled on the other 3 tracks, which in this match was enough with the competition that he was facing in it. But I think as we get later in the tournament, having one track that you're just beating everyone on is not going to be enough to carry you across the line.
Oh, there we go. Mute myself for some reason. Yes, and I can't remember. Do we have a randomized track order every round, or was it just for each day production?
Or Yatha.
If I remember correctly, the map order changes by 1, like almost like going clockwise. So the map that was second last time will be first in the next match. That was how it worked last week. I'm assuming it works the same way this week, but I have not heard anything to contradict that. So.
Well, no way of knowing. So we will be interested to see how that order affects things moving forward. Like you mentioned, that second map can be really pivotal, and if you are able to bring it home on that one, particularly in forward cut mode, or as I like to personally call it, reverse cut mode, being able to win a map is essential to be able to make your way out of the round. And it did feel like in the map you two were watching, players seemed a little bit allergic to winning there at the end, which was rather unfortunate. Yasser, I think I'm going to give you the opportunity to decide which match Mainstream's going to cover. We've got Razzie, kopro, Jadon, and Boz in match 1 coming up at 2 p.m. And we've got Thomas Jean, Akros, Kako, W, and Jan in match 2.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, well, you decide. I'll just let everyone know that I'm just going to continue to sit here and giggle at Thomas's pronunciation of player names.
They haven't been on the podcast. I don't know how to pronounce their name. And I refuse to, actually.
Kakao W.
I think we should watch match 1. I think the Razzie, kopro, Jadon, and Bozbez, purely for the reason that I don't think we've had Razzie and Jadon on stream yet. If I could be corrected on that, because I haven't casted every game, but to my knowledge, we haven't had them on stream yet. Can production confirm that?
The mainstream denial of Akros' existence continues once again. But we are looking forward to seeing how that all goes. I believe we're probably going to throw it to a break, because I think if we have 15 more minutes of sort of stalling for time here, we might slowly go insane. And I might continue to butcher famous Trackmania players' names a little bit. So, Nua, before we go to break, can you justify that jumper?
Yeah, it slaps. It was in the Barbie movie, and Ken wore it, and I thought it was great, and then I bought it, and now I'm wearing it. Do you know who else wears this jumper, Thomas? Everyone's favorite Trackmania event photographer, Dom, aka Doomject.
He's pretty good. Yeah,
and if that's not good enough reason to wear this jumper as well, I don't know what is.
Great guy. Anyway, production, take us away. Otherwise, me and Noah are going to talk about Mini RPG of the Week Ultimate, and we'll just be here for a long time.